Okay, today we're prepping the walls for stain. I cleaned the trailer out, took all the stuff down off the walls, the wall rack, all that stuff. Um, got everything away from the walls. I'm going to sand them, and then we'll stain them. I forgot to turn the time lapse on. I've already done this wall about 3/4 of the way, so you'll see me kind of start in the middle on the time lapse, but that's where we're going. We're going to sand the walls, blow all the dust off, and then start staining. stain job looks like shit. As you can see, I'm sweating like a stuck pig because I'm trying to fix it. So, if you look, it's very blotchy, uneven. You can see all the roller marks, which you couldn't see when I painted it. So that's just not me being a shitty painter. You couldn't see that when I first painted it, so it soaked into the wood. And that's what it looks like after it's soaked into the wood. Like total garbage. I can put a second coat on it, but then it's gonna look like gloss black. I don't want gloss black walls. I wanted a nice black stain with a little bit of wood grain. So what I've come up with, so it's not a complete loss, is behind me here. Kind of hard to see in this camera, but what I've done, you can see where I haven't done it yet, but I've just been running a sanding block randomly and a wire brush and just beating it up so it looks like more of a rustic type wood, I guess you would say. And then when I'm done that, I think I'm gonna take a different color stain and try and rub it in and see if it kind of pops through. I have like a beige color I was gonna use for the trim, so I'll try that in a spot. If I like it, then I'll do that. If not, I'll get like a white or a gray, and then it might give it like a rustic barn board look, which would be alright. I wouldn't mind that. It's gonna be wainscoted with a different color board anyway, so it won't look like one giant crappy panel, hopefully. So it'll be broken up enough that you probably won't see it. It'll just look like rustic boards. That's the plan anyway, other than this ugly gloss black shit, literally. And then hopefully it looks a little more rustic and better when I'm done. Kind of disappointed. It was a one-step stain. Should have read the reviews first. It seems to be better if you're putting it on furniture that's already been stained, not on bare wood, especially plywood. If I wanted to get the effect I wanted, after doing some research, it would have been a big mission, because it would have been rub the stain in with a rag, wipe it off, wait 24 hours, repeat. So it would have been a whole week to do the interior of this thing, and I'm not doing that. I would rather paint it with Tremclad. So we're gonna see if we can fix this bullshit. I got some ideas. We'll see how it turns out. back on the trailer. I showed you before my walls didn't turn out nice, but what I ended up doing was we sanded them and wire brushed them so they look like rustic beat up boards. And I kind of like it. It worked out good with my trim. Hang on. So that's kind of how the wall looks. But don't worry about the screws. So what we're going with here, these were the options. I ran it past some of my buddies. That's burnt with a stain, and that's just burnt. They all like the burn with the stain. And for the ceiling, I think we're going to do both the same thing. It's a corrugated type wood with a same finish, burned with stain. And what we're going to end up doing is where these seams are, where the screws are, we're going to basically strap it every 2 feet, and then at the bottom and at the top before the ceiling and around the windows. So you can kind of see there, that'll be the contrast. I think it'll look good with the beat up wood and the burnt look. So that's what we're going to go with there. I did a bunch of the wiring. These are going to run the switches back here for the rear floodlights, and I might put some, I'm going to close this in, the spring, and maybe put some pot lights in it or something. And I'll put the switch at the back so I can just operate it from my bed. And then the drop bed's going to go here. See the mounts. Showed you those. Yeah. So now that we got the rivets, we can do foam in the ceiling after I finish a little bit of wiring. What else do I need for the wiring? So what I'm thinking is I'm going to wire each. I basically have 3 banks of lights. I'm going to wire them onto individual switches, and then I can control each individual thing. So if I don't want to turn the lights on above the bed, like if my girlfriend's sleeping or something, I can just turn the front lights on, whatnot. Kind of have that going on now with all the outside lights. But yeah, so I'm going to split up my light wiring, run it down to a switch, and I'm going to run all the wires. I'm going to router a channel in that, so the wiring will run down from the ceiling in behind our trim here, and then I'll poke it through, put the switches on the outside of the trim, and then if I need to countersink anything, I can do it nice with the router. Then I don't have to cut any holes in the wall. I didn't want to cut any holes in the wall. I originally bought some plastic channel to run the wiring in, which would have worked, but I went a little crazy with the finish on the inside of it, so I'm going to try and keep it looking a little fancy. I put a lot of work into it, so now I'll keep it kind of fancy. Believe it or not, this shitty looking board took a lot of time to do. Because it's not paint, it's stained, so it took a while to stain it, and then it took a while to dry, and then it probably took 2 hours of wall to beat it up and make it look like a shitty old board. So I've got some hours into it. Also another reason why I'm not doing anything else to the finish. I've got a lot of time in it, I'm done with it, but I actually like how it looks, so we're going to leave it. Like, it's got a pretty cool look to it. But then where all the screws are, it's just going to be covered with trim, so you won't see any of the screws, and it'll break it up, so it'll kind of look like individual boards.